Anybody know who the president is? George W. Bush. Okay, here's a hard one. You ready? Who was the president before George W. Bush? Man, you guys are smart. You want to predict for me who the next president's going to be?
Yeah.
Who the next president is? Oh, I love you. Are you ready to come work in Washington with me? All right. What's your name? That's really nice of you. You guys want to ask? Look, let me tell you just a tiny little bit about me. I grew up in a place called Scranton, Pennsylvania. And then that's in Lower Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is kind of south of New York. And you guys, it's a little bit further to the west of you guys. And then I moved to a little tiny state called Delaware. But you know what? I just went over to the library and I'm here in the capital. Anybody know what the first state in the United States of America was? You got it, man, you got it. The smartest word I've ever met in my life. I can't get over this. Well, and that's where I live and I have yes. New Hampshire was the 9th state. I'll tell you what, you teachers deserve a gold star. Well, I live with Wilmington, Delaware. I've been a senator for a long time. When I was 29 years old, I got elected to the Senate. I have 4 children. Unfortunately, lost one child a long time ago in an accident. But anyway, I have 4 children. I have 3, my 2 boys, they're grown guys, they're both lawyers, and my daughter, she is a social worker, and she's 26 years old. And I have total of 5 grandchildren, 4 girls and a boy, Prince Minor Rock. And I live in Wilmington, Delaware, and I commute back and forth to Washington, D.C. in a train every day. I commute 2 hours to get from my house to my work, and I get back in the train and I get back home to my house. And anyway, that's who I am. That's what I do. Anybody want to ask me any questions about anything? You can ask me anything. You ask me personal questions. You can ask me anything you want, yes. You're such a smart guy. What's your name? Hey, Kelly. Kelly asked me if I become president, what am I going to do to help our country? You know, first of all, there's a war going on over in Iraq. And I think we're making a big mistake in the way in which we're engaged in that. So the first thing I would do is figure out, and I have figured out, how to get our troops home so all these guys and women can come back and be able to keep that country stable over there without you guys having to go back 10 years or 15 years for a second. And you're not going to like some of this. You know the single most important thing we can do? Single most important thing is we can make sure you got the best education in the world. You know why? That is the best way to make sure you're able to realize whatever your dreams are when you grow up. Whatever you want to be. You know something? Anything you want to do, you can do for real. And what's going to happen is, we adults, we should just make sure you have all the knowledge you can have in order to do whatever you want to do. As you get older, don't let anybody talk you out of whatever you want to do. Don't let them talk you out of it. Because sometimes you just know when you get older. And sometimes even now you just know in your heart what you want to do and what you want to do. Because what's happening is there's a lot more people in the world who are doing a lot of jobs that we need to do. So we got to make sure you guys have the best education you can so that you're the smartest kids in the world. And if you're the smartest kids in the world, guess what? We're going to be the smartest country in the world. And we're the smartest country in the world. We're going to be the safest country in the world. And we'll be able to help a lot. So I do a lot to deal with education. And I got to make sure that every single one of you, when you get out of high school, you want to go to college. If you're able to get into college, I want to make sure every single kid can go to college and not be denied one because they don't have enough money. I came from a family, we didn't have a whole lot of money. So some kids are really smart and they get into college and they can't go because they don't have enough money. And so I think we should have as a national policy, fancy word, every kid who qualifies to get to college because they worked hard and they're smart enough, they should be able to go no matter how much money they have. Even if they don't have a single penny, they should be able to go to college. I don't want to leave. I know you don't want to leave. But yes, you want to leave. She said, how did the war start in Iraq? The way the war started in Iraq was, I think that we made a big mistake, and that sometimes wars start for not good reasons. This is going to be confusing for a second, okay? There's kind of two wars that are going on. One war going on is a war in Afghanistan. That's way far in the mountains, and it's over, it's beyond Iran, and it's on the way to India. It's way, way, way in the middle of another continent. And a lot of people were in Afghanistan. You've heard of Al-Qaeda and Osama bin Laden? Well, Osama bin Laden set up camps there, and he was getting a lot of help from the folks running that country called Afghanistan. And that's when he planned to go after and attack America and bring down the World Trade Towers and kill all those innocent Americans. So we had a right to, and we should have gone to Afghanistan to try to get bin Laden and get those people who have done bad things to America so it wouldn't happen again. But the president, I think he got a little confused, and I knew what this was. I think he thought that the folks in another country, way far away, it's far from here, and it's also far from Iran, a couple thousand miles from Afghanistan, called Iraq. He said, no, the guy in Iraq, he helped bin Laden do these bad things to us. And he didn't. He wasn't a good guy, but he didn't help. And we used that kind of as an excuse to attack Iran. And I think that was a big mistake. That was a big mistake. And so we kind of got there, I think, because of the mistake in Iran. That's the best way I can explain it. I can tell you one more. You know what I have to do now? I have to go upstairs in what they call the secretary of the state of New Hampshire's office. And I got to sign a piece of paper. I got to give him a check. Y'all are very smart in New Hampshire. And then I got to sign a piece of paper. You know what the piece of paper says? It says, I, Joe Biden, from the state of Delaware, am formally announcing I'm going to run for President of the United States of America, and I'm going to start that by entering what they call the New Hampshire primary. You guys are really important. Your moms and dads are really important, and your big brothers and big sisters if they're old enough to vote. You know why? They're going to decide who among us, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, who is the one that should be the nominee, meaning the number one person that's a Democrat and the number one Republican, to run against each other to become president next November. And so you guys play a really, really, really important role. And you are so beautiful, I can't say no. What's your question? Is it really true that there was a wooden table on top of the gold dome? You mean here in your gold dome? The answer to the question is I have to turn to, I believe it's true. But I have to be honest with you. I have a bad habit of kind of telling the truth and not pretending I know things I don't. That lovely lady over there told me the answer is yes. I didn't know that. I didn't know that for sure. But if she says that, I believe it's true. Because she looks like an expert to me. Okay, one more. What you got, Doc? How long have I been a senator? And where did I get this tie? Very good question. I've been a senator longer than I was alive before I was a senator. I come from a neighborhood where I never knew a senator. I never knew a senator. I never knew a governor. I never really knew anybody important. My daddy was a great, great guy, and my mom's a great guy. She's 90 years old and lives with me. Still tells me what to do. 90 years old, still tells me what to do. But I never knew anybody who was really an important person, a senator, or a governor, or a congressman, or a state legislator. But in my house, my mom and dad used to always talk about how you really had an obligation. You know, when someone else is in trouble, you should help. You should get involved. And so the school I went to also talked about that all the time. And when I got out of college and I went to law school, I came back to the state of Delaware. And there was a lot of things going on in Delaware at the time. Unfortunately, you'll study about a great man named Dr. Martin Luther King. And he was a great, great man and one of my heroes. And he was assassinated the year that I graduated from college, from law school, excuse me. And I came back to Delaware, and there were a lot of riots in America. And my city, Wilmington, Delaware, my city was burned down. There were riots, and a big part of my city was burned down in anger and reaction as Dr. Martin Luther King being assassinated. And so I got really upset, and I got involved. I got involved in what we used to call the civil rights movement. We are very proud. We have a very large African American population in my state. We're the 8th largest population of any state in America. And so that's where I come from. And so I got very involved in the civil rights community, in the African American community in my state. And I got more and more involved in the war in Vietnam was going on, which you'll learn about, kind of like the war in Iraq. And I got involved to try to stop that. Next thing I know, no one would run for the United States Senate. And so a bunch of old guys like me came to me and said, hey, why don't you run? And I said, I'm not old enough. The Constitution of the United States of America said you have to be 30 to be a senator. And I was only 28 years old. And they said, well, if you run and you win, you can wait around a little bit, and your 30th birthday will come, and then you can be sworn in. So I ran for the Senate because I wanted to change the war. I wanted to change. Back then, my sister, who's much smarter than I am, and she really is much smarter than I am, my sister and I went to the same college together. I graduated as a C+ student. She was a B+A student. They said to me, you can be anything you want. They said to her, be a school teacher or a nurse, which are good things to be. But so what happened was, back when I was younger, when I was your age, women didn't have the same chance that men have, as much of a chance. So I got involved in all those things. Next thing I know, I ran for the Senate when I was 29 years old, and that was 35 years ago. And I want to figure out, I want you to know that you can do the math later. So anyway, that could happen. Next couple of months, look me over when you see the paper. Look and see if you like this guy or not, okay? And if you do, I know you can't really vote, but vote for me, okay? Say, I'm for that guy, okay? All right, I love you. Thanks a lot. Thank you. I got this tie. However I got this tie. I got this tie at the Washington train station at a place called the Tie Shop. Thank you all very much.